Hey, Lisa, you want me to make you host?
Um, you can, but you don't have to because I'm using the other software to stream.
Yep. You see you've got recording and everything all covered, or do you need me to record it too?
Mm, no, it should be recording out on YouTube.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So if you go look on YouTube, you should see the splash screen.
Yeah, screen's there. Says it's going to be live. Yeah.
Welcome to Tools for Traders live trade session. So we have a list of assets here that we are waiting for our trade finder to alert us and let us know of potential trades. In the meantime, I have gone through and started marking up my charts. And I got to make a little adjustment here. And so for this trade strategy, we were taking our target. We're doing a single contract and we're taking the target at 1-to-1. So I'm going to go ahead and set this trade up in case it hits while I'm doing something else. And I'll just adjust. All right, so we're ready to go there. For the folks that are in Zoom, who has seen this trade plan and knows what we're doing? Do you have any questions about it? Do I need to walk through it?
So Lisa, if you don't mind, maybe quickly, can you brief quickly? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've attended the first meeting, but I'm not sure if anything changed after that.
Okay, so let me switch these. Okay, so I have a little PowerPoint, and there's our mandatory risk disclosure. So the trade plan is we're going to trade one contract on futures. The target is going to be at a risk to reward of 1-to-1. Our stop is going to be at the distal of the band. There is no minimum risk to reward required. In other words, the distance to the next opposing band is not required to be a certain distance. We don't have any rules on that. We're using band creation method 3. I do have some other settings in there in addition to that method. And for these trade plan, we're only going to take fresh bands for the trade entry. Here is an example of what a trade would look like. You've got your stop here at your distal. You've got your entry at your proximal. And then I have the fibs set to draw the band and to show you the 1-to-1. So this would be your target. And this is actually a really kind of cool example because here you can see that you had an opposing band created right before it hit this band, and it went right through it and still hit the 1-to-1 target. So what I found when I looked at opposing bands is that putting any kind of requirement on them being a certain distance actually decreased my profitability. So how was the plan developed? I evaluated all these futures assets. I did 102 different back tests, and I looked at each of the assets on a chart at 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and 34 minutes. And depending on the higher time frames, I had to go back to June 1st to do the back testing to get enough trades. I used August 1st for the lower time frames, the 3, 5, and 8 minute. What I did is I took the raw results and I evaluated the trades that hit between 8 and 11:15 Central Time. No magic in that time. It's just a period of time when people said they could attend a live trade session. And then the evening hours were 1800 to 2000 Central. And what I did is I analyzed and found the best assets in interval, and those were chosen for the AM and the PM trade times. And so there's different assets for the morning and the evening. In order for an asset to be considered, for the backtest time frame, it had to have a positive P&L. If it wasn't positive, I listed it as a fail and I did no additional testing on it. For the purposes of this, I looked at the average per trade because you could be positive, but your average per trade could be like a quarter, right? So that's not even going to cover your commissions. So I just said if you weren't making at least $4.75 a trade, I wasn't going to interested in testing that asset any further. And that there had to be at least 30 trades during the trade hours that we were testing. Some of the ones we just weren't getting enough trades to even make it worthwhile to look at it. So what did we find? I mentioned this already before. Opposing band distances reduced our profits. The evening hours produced more profit per trade. And I did look at the next possible target, looking at not wanting to, I wanted to be successful at least 30% of the time. And what I found was typically if you want to be successful 30% of the time on your second target, you were going to typically have to be at 2-to-1. And I can show you more of that data here. Let me see here. As far as, I'll show you some more of the raw data, but as far as the next steps go, we're forward testing the settings to decide if they're going to be viable. We need to get 30 or more trades on each of the identified assets and interval to validate that the settings work. And we're also going to look at testing some higher time frames. So that's the quickie overview. And since we really don't have anything popping up here, I can show you more of the raw data and how we got here. And I've done some additional things, testing things since the last time we met. So let me move this file over here. Okay. You know what I did? I didn't switch this. I'm learning this software and I did not switch it over. It is not showing my, I guess I got to figure this out. It's not showing my spreadsheet on the YouTube Live. See if I can do this real quick. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting used to the live broadcast. Okay. So I should be streaming over on the live broadcast now, I hope. So this is the assets and the different intervals and the different trade hours I tested. So on this side is the morning hours, and on this side is the evening hours. If it failed, you can see they're blank. There are no data for the Fs. But in the morning, if you look at the ones that passed, these were the assets that passed, and you can see the 10-year showed up several times. So, you know, that's one where you could just take the best. Unfortunately, it didn't make my 475 cutoff. So even though it performed well at several different intervals, you just weren't making hardly any money per trade. So initially, I started evaluating nat gas, the euro, and ES in the morning hours. As of today, I have removed nat gas. It's not performing well. So I'll have to see if I can locate a different asset to add into the morning hours. And you can see here, this is what the one-to-one P&L total was, the number of trades here, and what the one-to-one risk to reward percentage was for these assets at these intervals. And then I just calculated out put the price per point in and calculated the average per trade. And so these are the numbers you see here. And I filter this back. And we can go over here to the evening hours. And you can see that we had a lot more opportunities in the evening, which was very nice. And you can also see that averages per trade, I mean, you know, 124, 475, $70 per trade. You know, those are more numbers we would like to see. So more encouraged with the evening hours and the potential there. So when we did the morning hours and initially looked at the trades, when we walked them forward from the 1st of November to the 3rd of January, this was what our average per trade was looking like. With, again, night gas was showing negative performance at that point. And so I ran some more data, looking at it from 6/1 to 11, the January 11th of this year. And again, wasn't seeing a good performance on nat gas. The euro, the euro and ES, I am seeing positive average per trade, but again, not great profitability. But looking from the November 1st through the January 11th, was seeing a better result in the current, most recent performance. So based on the current market conditions, we are seeing a better result on the average return per trade on the euro and ES. Any questions about what I'm showing so far?
Nothing for me.
Okay. And then I'm also working, I haven't completed all this, but I'm working on the evening hour results. And you can see I don't have anywhere near my 30 trades yet. But you can see some of my assets are not performing well. NQ is not looking very pretty. But then you've got other things like the Russell that's looking good, and copper in the evening hours. So still analyzing that. The other thing that I wanted to start looking at was drawdown. I wanted to understand for the different assets what the P&L curve looked like. So here's an example of what copper looks like for the 11/1 to 1/11 time frame. So you can see that's not too bad looking. I'll be happy with that. So hopefully we kind of continue to see the results like that as we get our 30 trades. But I wanted to be able to have some kind of idea on kind of what the curve looked like and how much drawdown, because you could have one or two trades making you positive, and we have some examples. You look at this is oil on the 34-minute. I mean, that's pretty ugly. But interesting enough, today I was looking at some data on oil, looking at the real-time trading hours. But what I did was I went 1 hour before the start of the trading session and subtracted 1 hour off the back end. And this was what the performance looked like. So I'm kind of playing a little bit with different trading hours to see how that impacts the performance of the settings. And so if you guys have any other thoughts about things we can look at that my raw data will allow me to easily do, I'm more than willing to play and try something out. But you can see I did this this is for the euro. And let's see, this was nat gas. Look, that's awful. This was MES, ES. I don't know why that's down so far. If I can move it up. And this was gold. Just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm playing with and how I'm looking to analyze the data. All right, now I have to tell my thing to look at something different. All right. So right now we don't have any trades being alerted. So while we're waiting for an opportunity, any questions you guys have about this, about something else about tools that I can help you with? Okay, so I don't.
Lisa,
Go
a
ahead.
quick question. Are you sharing the settings by any chance or not yet? The
I'm not gonna.
pure,
I'm, and right now I don't have enough confidence to share the settings because I don't
oh,
have enough data to
okay,
say that it's performing correctly. So
got it. Okay, makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, wouldn't want. I mean, right now, this is all being done in Sim. So I wouldn't want anybody to get mad at me. So, um, so are you guys familiar with using the Trade Finder? Do you know some of the tips and tricks with that?
I mean, I use Trade Finder. Probably, I don't know what I don't know. So,
I don't use it at all.
Okay. So there's a few things that can be very helpful to understand about Trade Finder. One, the Trade Finder is always set to your local time. So if you're using it like the pattern finder where it gives you a date and time, you have to make sure that your charts are set on local time, not exchange time. So that's one little idiosyncrasy. The other thing is when you're using the trade finder, if you want to, let's say I want to change the proximity setting for a single asset instead of having it be the same proximity of 2 for every symbol, you have to go to the one you want to change. And then when you go to studies, see how it says this edit ESH 22? You have to keep moving from spot to spot and right clicking until you get it showing up in white. It does not show up in the same spot every time. I don't know what the logic is, but all I can tell you is at any point in time, I have found this in any of the settings underneath Trade Finder. So whether it's under the proximity column, the short trade, the long trade, it's not consistent. But when you go here and change it, so your proximity is set to 2. So let's say we want to change this to 3. And I'll just put the 3 in and say, okay. It will go and redo the chart and come back and you'll see the number 3 here. Anytime you load TradeStation and your requested proximity is blank, that means that this asset has not been processed through the Trade Finder yet. So, helpful hint. Sometimes they'll tell you if TradeStation is stuck. Sometimes you will find that the Trade Finder will be behind your charts. So now that we've got this different setting, if I go in and I want to change the settings, a global setting in Trade Finder, I can go in and edit Trade Finder for all symbols. So now what you're going to notice is because proximity is not the same for every symbol, it's going to be blank because TradeStation doesn't know what to put there because it's more than one setting. So that can help be a helpful hint to you if you are changing settings and you want to see what ones are different throughout the entire Trade Finder, because you might have trend turned on one, or you might have a desired risk to reward different on one asset than another. So anything that's different across the list of symbols is going to be blank here. Now, if you want everything to be back to the same, the cool part is you just stick the 2 in here and hit OK. and it will change that back to 2. So you won't have to go to that individual asset. But on the flip side, if you have things unique and you do not want to change those, that means you cannot make that change for that specific item globally. Learned that the hard way. Let's see, what are a few other things I've learned about the Trade Finder? Sometimes TradeStation turns your alerts off. And the easiest way to find that out is just to go here. And I normally have my alert set once per bar. I had to turn it off because I was doing some videos earlier today. But if TradeStation, for some reason, and what I'll find is sometimes that occurs when there's a lot of alerts going off. It's almost like it gets hung up or something, and it'll turn them off. And another very valuable thing I have found is that if you do have a lot of alerts going off and you want to see those alerts, you go to the message center. So you're going to go view, messages, message center, and it will show you the symbol and the information long trade found. Unfortunately, the radar screen does not pass the interval to the message center, so we do not get that piece of information. So unfortunately, if you had gold and you had it set up for several different intervals, you would not know exactly which interval got it alerted. You would have to go look. So be nice if they did pass that info. And then once I get a bunch of alerts and I've already set my trades up, I will just typically hit these little red X's here and clear them. So I have a clear list to work with. But I find using the message center really helps. Oh, this is going to be an exciting night, isn't it? Usually I'm getting at least a couple trades in the evening. Gold took a big move this morning. Interesting. Did that hit during the session? Okay. Here's an example of where I did not. Oh, it hit before the session. Good. What I'm doing, I don't know if you guys are using the session tool, but I have it turned on to help highlight. But the way the session tool works is it starts shading at the first candle in the session. So remember, I'm set on local time, which is 1903, and the session started at what would have been 1900 local. So this was the first candle that finished printing, and so it starts after the session starts, and so it starts printing after that. And that just helps me see where the session started. And, you know, that's going to vary based on your interval. Are any of you guys using this session tools?
Yeah, I use just to mark the Globex and regular time.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, it's pretty handy. And for me, on the days I don't actually trade during these hours, I can quickly go back and kind of see what happened because I got this nice little shading to go back and look at on the chart. I'll just cycle through and see if there's anything exciting going on. Do you guys use chart trading or do you use the matrix?
I use Ninja Trader. I don't trade on TradeStation. I only use TradeStation for charting.
Yeah, I
Ninja
do.
Trader is very good actually for trading.
That's
I
good.
do chart trading on both Ninja and TradeStation.
Yep. Yeah, there's a few. I've tried to use the matrix and I don't know, the chart trading seems to work better for me. But what I've found is sometimes when you're trying to set a trade, trying to sometimes get it exactly where you want it can be a challenge. So one of the things that I do to kind of help that and make my life easier, if I want to put a trade here, what I've found is if I just blow it up real big, it makes it easier to grab because sometimes you're so close to another fib line or something, it makes it hard. And then I just move it where I want it and then reduce it. So I found that can make placing the lines a lot simpler. And I learned today that I can't move this toolbar. TradeStation 10 will not let you relocate the toolbars unless somebody's found a trick. Because I could do it on 9.5. For some reason, TradeStation is a lot slower when you're using Zoom.
By the way, Lisa, you can't necessarily move those toolbars, but you could turn it on and off and then move the items in that toolbar to the upper toolbar if you prefer them there. But that takes a little time for this session.
I actually made a video about that today because there was a
There you go.
gentleman in the TradeStation Facebook group that he was wanting to know if you could create a macro to remove all the drawing objects. And you can't record macros in TradeStation 10 like you could in 9.5. So
Correct.
I just showed him how he could turn the toolbar, use the toolbar and select it. But yeah, but if you guys don't know how to do that, it's can be very, very handy. So on a toolbar, you'll have this little drop down right here, and you'll go to customize. And then what you're able to do is if there are things up here that you don't want, all you do is grab it, pull it down here, and then hit apply, and it will remove that. If there's something that you don't have and you want, that's because sometimes you don't want to like do these little drop downs. And, maybe you use a 10-minute interval a lot and you just want to put it up here. And so you can place it where you want it, and then it's there, and you have it whenever you need it. And you don't have to go search for it, because you can, go add. I think I took the intervals off of here today when I was playing with the videos earlier, but you can go add in different drop downs, and there's different categories, time frames. And then like here, this is the interval drop down menu. So if you want to have the drop down, you can just, hello, talk to me. Throw this up here, and then you've got the intervals, and then you have the individual intervals listed here. And if there's some of those that you don't want, and they're just muddying up your drop down, you can just say, I don't like 4 minutes, I'm taking it off. So there is quite a bit of functionality as far as tailoring things the way you'd like it to be. And then another thing a lot of people don't know about, if you want them, you can have large icons. But again, it takes up real estate. So, but if you get rid of a lot of things you don't need, large icons may work fine for you. But it does help when you're doing videos to go to large icons. And then here's your toolbars. So you've got the drawing toolbar, which you can turn off when it shows here. So like he was saying, I could just put all the drawing tools up here. And then you've got the Chart Tools Classic. I guess I have to hit apply. Hello? Why didn't it show up? Okay, I've got that checked. Well, I don't know. Normally when you hit this, another toolbar shows up. And it looks more like the classic. I guess, I think it stuck it right here. Okay. Here's what it did. It stuck the classic toolbar over here. I don't know. Do you know how to get them to go one below the other? Maybe. I used to have these two stacked. Well, I might have to do a little research on that one. Unless one of you guys know.
On mine, when I turn it on, it stacks it automatically, so I don't know.
Well, see, that's what I thought. Now it's doing something different. You know what? Let's do this just for fun. If I add some stuff up here, make it bigger, will it stack it? Nope. Oh well. Well, I got rid of it, but I don't know why it didn't stack it. Because that's the only way I've ever seen it show up. So now you've seen fun with toolbars. Sinking. I think I accidentally turned on. Yeah, my bar countdown timer I did. That's the reason it came up sinking. All right, you guys have any questions while we're waiting for something to show up? Any questions about things about TradeStation that probably between me, Tim, Doug, and Ripper, we would know how to do?
Well, it's all good for me. I don't have any challenges with registration lately.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm able to do 24-way band test easily. So that's good sign for,
And I'm very jealous of you for that.
yeah, it saves a lot of time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's an amazing feature to be able to share those settings across all the charts and get the back tests. Definitely makes life easier. It's way better than the old days when we used to mark our charts and manually like measure the distances and Is anybody using the chart tools with any of the wheat or corn?
Not I.
I don't trade those really. Got some family in Kansas that trade it because they grow it. So I've looked when I went down this process, I did try to look at some different stocks in the beginning, and I was not really finding some good options on time frames that would result in enough trades. Of course, thought I was gonna hit at least a handful of trades every session based on the data I had from these. But do you have any recommendations of any stocks or anything like that that you think would be good to evaluate to add to the morning session?
Have you tested any FX products, Lisa?
Any what?
Forex, FX projects?
No, I have not.
Okay.
So give that a shot. What would you recommend?
Oh, I don't know. You could try evening session or a day session.
Well, I guess if it's 4X, I could do either, right?
Yeah, you could, because some of them might be more active in the evening than they would be during the day, maybe, possibly. I know you'd have to back test it. I don't have a recommendation, actually, I guess. And then you have the 3 cryptos that are available on TradeStation that you could try.
Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
have you looked at the euro dollar for this late evening trading?
I did.
Okay,
You're talking about are you talking about
is
EC? You're talking about EC, right?
no
Can you tell me the symbol?
is ED, I think.
ED? No.
Euro
Okay.
dollar.
Okay. No. I can give it a shot.
I believe that's the correct symbol. I used to trade that in the evenings and did pretty well with it. So just a thought.
Okay. No. Yeah, I mean it's easy
th-
enough to do some testing and see if it's viable to even move
I don't know
forward with it.
if it is available on the CME exchange though. I mean, usually those things are available on ICE exchange, right? There's a different data feed you need.
What's the symbol? Just is it
Um,
is it just ED or at ED or
Turn on TradeStation. It might be EUD, USD.
I'm showing EC as the Euro FX custom continuous contract, or at least that's what I'm looking at. I didn't find a euro dollar separate contract.
Okay, I may be remembering something incorrectly, but
Yeah, it'd
it's
be the
been
Forex pairs.
So,
a few years since I traded that, but it did good in the 7 o'clock our time frame, 7 to 9.
so is it EURUSD?
That's a
That's the Forex,
Forex
right?
contract.
Right.
Yeah.
So would that be a good one to give a shot?
Might be worth looking at.
Okay. And maybe
EURUSD is a Forex pair,
mhm,
which you can chart on TradeStation, but you can't trade it.
yeah. That's true. But we could back test it and see what it did. And we can have it alert us on the chart. We just can't trade it. So the other thing I thought about is for these sessions when we're in dead time like this, we could possibly set up a scanner and look for some opportunities for options. Or something of that nature.
If you want to trade the futures on the euro, it's at CH. Current contract is H22 equals 103 XN. But that's the futures on the euro.
So it's at CH?
Correct. H22 equals 103 XN. That's what we're testing in the study group.
Okay, cool. This says it's corn.
It's ECH, Echo Charlie Hotel.
Oh, okay. I did test ECH 22. It just didn't show viable. And I don't think corn's probably silent this time of night, right? Yeah, when I looked at let's see here. Filter this. I had it passed, but it was 91 cents a trade on the 13-minute interval. So it didn't make the cut. but I did test it. It's like CL's moving in the wrong direction for us to hit that trade tonight. So for you guys who trade in the evenings, do you notice any days of the week where there's more evening activity, that might be a better day to choose? Or
Quiet crowd tonight.
mm-hmm.
Well, here's a question for you. When Jose was doing his live trading sessions, there had to be sessions where there were long periods of time where they didn't find anything to trade. What did he do? What did he talk about during those times?
Sometimes he was showing stuff about, the UFOs and how they worked. He might be reviewing the trade strategy. But a lot of times he was just flipping through looking for a trade. And then there were times like he would actually like run a scan to try to find a trade. And then, once he was in a trade, because he had a very specific set of rules, like if a trade hit and it didn't make 1-to-1 within a certain number of candles, he would exit the trade. So once he got into a trade on something, he was typically watching it. He might be in 2 trades simultaneously, but he would be watching. But there were days like this, nothing. So
yeah, there had to be days like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, face it.
Sometimes there just is nothing.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing, with the, some of the instructors that we know that have done the live trade sessions. They'll talk about you find yourself trying to make a trade. You're just trying to find something,
Yeah.
and then it's
Yep.
not a good result.
Yep.
And I've heard them talk about going back later and looking at it and saying, why did I take that trade? Where at least here, I mean, it may not be exciting, but it's pretty easy to follow the rules.
Well,
Yep.
and yeah, that was the thing. I saw many instructors, break their own rules in order to find a trade, and then the trade went south on. I was like, well, that wasn't very smart.
Mm-hmm. Or they would have a couple trades get stopped out, and then it was almost like they got into revenge trading, trying to get it back. What is it? This is kind of like the private eye that sits in their car just watching.
That's a good analogy, right?
Yep.
Because you're sitting there looking for that trade
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know when it's going to come
That's
or
right.
if it's going to come.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on a stakeout, hoping that the villain is going to come so you can catch them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But when they do hit, they're nice. Here, I'll show you this.
Yeah.
Let me show you guys. Okay, I was not, full disclosure, in front of the computer for all the potential trades last week.
For shame, for shame.
I know I have a
Do
life.
are you telling us you have another life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's about real life.
Yeah, I go do stuff. So this is what last week's results were like for the trades. So I took 27 trades. The net result was $986 for the week. So profit factor 1.37. And then here's let's see here. Where's the graph? So that's what the graph looks like. So you can obviously see there's some things that are pulling this down that, get rid of some of the assets that, that aren't confirming to this trade plan. And hopefully you'll see this smooth out and it won't look so much like a heartbeat. But that's the reason, you got to be cautious because, look here. $1,400 and you drew down to what, 265. So you had several losing trades in a row.
You actually went lower than that down there on 21.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the biggest drawdown from
Oh,
here.
okay.
That's your, but yeah. Oh yeah, you got down to what, $70.
This is like a COVID heartbeat, or actually a vaccine heartbeat.
Yeah.
Behave. No black marks. I'm live streaming to YouTube.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. This is our first test.
Oh, it's a good thing I didn't see a few of the other things I had in mind.
One of the, maybe we need one of those 6-second cutoffs,
Oh,
6-second delays.
Yeah, really.
it already has it. It's
With a
already
beep.
it's already there. There's a 6-second delay. Because Tim and I were testing it this afternoon.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a 6-second delay.
Yeah, but is there anybody there to beep or filter out objectionable content?
It's all automated. They have bots. So, but yeah, so here's all the trades.
So it'd be interesting to see what the bots scan for.
Yeah, there's people that talking code. So you can see here the average profit for
We'd have to come up with.
average profit was $36. So that was last week. And now I just want to take a trade. I don't think we have anything that's close right now, do we?
Least so the euro dollar is, if you want to put it in the radar screen,
Mm-hmm.
is at EDH 22 equals 107 XM.
At EDH
Echo
equals.
Delta Hotel 22
Mm-hmm.
equals 107 XM.
Okay. After this loads, I'll add it. Cool. So you did have something you traded.
It doesn't move very fast, but it moves consistent. I would probably start out at 21 minutes.
Okay.
After it loads, obviously.
It's loaded. Or,
Okay.
well, it's on the radar, actually. I was looking in the wrong spot. It already resorted it. There we go. You said 21 minutes?
Yeah, I would probably start at 21 minutes. Like I said, it doesn't move very fast.
Sometimes slow and steady is good.
And I'm sitting here looking at it from, I'm just going from memory. The volume is down from what it used to be, but
Didn't we do that? Looks like the 10-year. Is that what you're used to seeing?
yep, that's pretty much so what I used to see. And you get those small moves, and it's consistent. It bounces back and forth between the supply and the demand.
Yeah, well, you can see here. Hit it. Came down, made a band. Came up. Went back down. Did it break it?
Yeah.
So the low was 52.50. Yeah, touched it.
And on these, I would generally run one tick past the distal.
Yeah.
Because most of the bands are one tick wide.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
And
So it's Was it
You know, you
says
make a few
1250.
ticks here, a few ticks there.
Yeah, 1250 a tick, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it would be a good could be a good candidate for 1-to-1. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Look at that.
and it might work out as a good candidate for 2-to-1.
Yeah.
So, but that's not our trade plan.
Yeah. But we're always looking. Yeah, because today,
Well, yeah,
when I was playing with some of the higher time frames, doing a little back testing with those, I started looking at the regular trading hours. Because if you're, looking at a higher time frame band, right?
right.
It's you're gonna have fewer trades. And, just thinking about, okay, well, if I have to, glance at my screen, once an hour, every 2 or 3 hours, to see if a new band has formed that I might want to get into, right? And so I was like,
Right.
well, let's look at the regular trading hours. And seeing like if you, start an hour before to the end of the trading session, or maybe stopping an hour before the end of the session. So I started playing with that a little bit just to see what those numbers look like. Anybody else got any questions about any of the other tools pieces or trade station? Want to know if it's going to snow this weekend? I think I picked the perfect time to go skiing on the 31st because
Perfect time to do what?
to go skiing because it looks like that area of Pennsylvania is getting some nice snow. So we haven't been to that area before. Go somewhere different. Tired of going to snowshoe.
Supposed to be 2 more storms coming.
I know. I'm pretty excited
Yeah.
about that.
It'll be good.
I know a lot of
Yep.
people who aren't excited about that, but I am.
just causes so much disruption down there that
Oh, you should see. I mean, like this place.
Yeah.
It's like my daughter tried to drive up to her job at the camp she works at, and they hadn't even got they've gotten so much snow they had trouble getting the 1 mile gravel road up to the cabin plowed, and so she was stuck sitting at the end of the road because it was too deep for her to hike up because it was like over her knees, and she didn't want to hike with all her gear, and so she was like hanging out waiting for them to get plowed down to her car so she could drive up to the cabin. I was looking to see. Oops. So this formed during the session, but didn't hit. I was just looking to see if there's any examples of trades on this one that hit during this session. There would have been a stop out. So here's a copper trade that hit during the PM session and resulted in the 1-to-1. The shading really helps. So trades do happen. So Tim, can you see if anybody's watching us on YouTube? Other
It's
than
just
you,
me.
just you. Well,
Yep, just me.
we didn't announce anything either. Well, should we just call this one a bust? I don't see anything that's anywhere close. Sometimes gold will start running at this time of the night.
Lisa, these trades that you have set up, do you leave them set up for the rest of the evening, or do you go ahead and close them? What time do you close them?
So, we're scheduled to stop trading at 9. So what I do is if they don't hit, I cancel them at 9 o'clock. I don't leave them set because the whole way we did the trade plan was the entry time, not when the band was created, but
Right.
the entry time. So we want to make sure that we're only trading during those times. So that when I run a summary report, it doesn't have other stuff in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Guys, it doesn't look like we're going to have anything hit. So I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up unless you guys have got questions about something.
Yeah. Sounds like you're good to go, Lisa.
All right.